What's up everyone, we're going to be going through the best WNBA player props on PrizePicks today. Now I did want to show you the results from yesterday's picks from my exclusive Discord group, and as you guys see, we actually got 22 picks correct, which was absolutely insane. Now a lot of you comment wanting to see how many I got wrong, and I thought I'd show you in today's video. We only got 2 picks wrong and got 22 right, which is a 95% win rate. Yes guys, you heard that right, 95% win rate. So we're on a huge hot streak, but if you want to get 22 picks right like me and a 95% win rate, win more bets and receive the best picks from some of the best bettors in the world for less than a cup of coffee, you get access to the exclusive Discord and meet some of the best sport bettors in the game by joining my Patreon, which should be linked down below in the description. Once you join, you'll have complete access to the Discord and can start winning more bets today. So make sure to join my Patreon using the link in the description. And here's one of our members who just signed up and won himself $500 just yesterday, and another member who won $250 for the 6th day in a row since joining my Discord. So guys, if you want to win big money like our members, a link will be in the description, so go join the Patreon to have access to the Discord group, and I will be continuing to upload every single day on this channel the best bets and props, so make sure to subscribe so you don't miss my daily uploads. So quick shout out to Luri Rank who said thank you, it's all legit, and also shouts out to ejeter4710 who said it's our time. So shouts out to them, and if you do want to win a shout out in the next video, all you have to do is comment down below in this video and like it, and you can be in the running to win a shout out in the next one. Alright, so let's get straight into the first pick, and when it comes to these picks, I'm not saying to chuck all of them into a parlay and hope for the best. Pick and choose the ones that you like and the ones that work best for you. So the first pick we're going to talk about is none other than Kelsey Plum. Now this one is actually for 3-pointers made for actually 2.5, and this one actually is for less. Now looking at someone like Kelsey Plum and looking at her last 5 games, we did see that she has gone on the under in 2 out of the last 5. Now, looking at those last 5, we do see on July 27th, faced off against New York Liberty, had 3 3-pointers made there. Then, July 30th, faced off against Las Vegas Aces, had 0 3-pointers made there. After that, August 2nd, faced off against Seattle Storm, had 2 3-pointers made. Then 3 3-pointers made against Indiana Fever on August 6th. And then Connecticut Sun on August 8th actually had 3 3-pointers made. So it was pretty interesting to see. Now, obviously, coming into this matchup, we do also see Kelsey Plum has averaged over the last 5 2.2, so slightly below this line. Now, looking at this matchup, we do know Los Angeles Sparks do face off against Golden State Valkyries. Now there is only 2 games for today, but this one is an interesting one because we do actually see when it comes between both of these teams, we do see ranking wise, we have seen Los Angeles Sparks not really do that great of a job so far this season. They actually come in at the 9th spot in the WNBA, which is unfortunate. Now they actually have a record of 14 wins and 15 losses. Now not only do they actually rank 9th in the WNBA, but they actually rank 6th in the Western Conference as well. So that's pretty interesting there. Now they have a 48.3% win percentage as well, and on top of that, they also are 5-9 from home, 9-6 from away, and are currently on a 3-game win streak. So pretty interesting there. Now coming into this matchup, we do also see that when we look at Golden State Valkyries, we do see Valkyries are actually 1 slot above, as Golden State do actually rank 8th in the WNBA. Now, not only do they rank 8th in the WNBA, but they are in the same conference as the Sparks, and they do actually come in at the 5th spot when it comes to Golden State Valkyries. Now, they have a record of 14 wins and 15 losses. That's a 48.3% win percentage, and on top of that, they are 8-5 at home, 6-10 from away, and are currently on a 2-game losing streak. So, when we look at both of these teams, obviously both are somewhat evenly matched, pretty similar in ranking and also record. However, looking at defensively how Golden State Valkyries do against 3-pointers, we do see they rank 6th when it comes to 3-point percentage allowed. They rank 13th when it comes to 3-point attempts allowed, and then they also come 11th when it comes to 3-point makes allowed. So we do see Golden State Valkyries do rank a little bit, lowish tier when it comes to all 3 categories in the 3-point department. So why do we like the under for this? And the big reason being is that when we look on a per position basis, we do actually see that Golden State Valkyries actually rank very well at restricting 3-pointers to the guard position. So for that reason, we do very much like the under for this one. We are definitely expecting someone like Kelsey Plum to be able to go, on the under in this one, due to the fact that Valkyries will probably play and, you know, really give that defensive pressure that they like to, you know, play against when it comes to, you know, Golden State Valkyries playing that defense on Kelsey. So for that reason, we do very, very much like the under for this one. And when we look at what the bookies are saying, bookies also are favored for the under as well. So that definitely works out there. So Kelsey Plum, 2.5 3-pointers made for less, I think is a fantastic pick. So getting into the next player, we're going to be talking about none other than Elizabeth Williams. So Elizabeth Williams, great player, as we all know. Now, this one is actually a fantastic one because this one is for 11.5 points, and this one actually is for less. Now, when we look at Elizabeth Williams, we actually do see that she has gone on the under in 2 out of the last 5 games. Now, looking at those 5 games, you see on July 30th, faced off against Washington Mystics, had 2 points there. Then against Golden State Valkyries on August 2nd, had 15 points. Then 15 points against Phoenix Mercury on August 4th. Washington Mystics after that on August 6th and had 18 points. And then back down to 8 points against Atlanta Dream when it came to August 8th. So it is pretty interesting to see. You know, obviously we have seen Elizabeth Williams go on the under in 2 out of the last 5, but her average over the last 5 is also 11.6. So pretty close to that line, you know, just slightly above it, but nothing really too convincing to us. Now, obviously, we do know Elizabeth Williams and Chicago Sky have themselves a very, very good matchup against Indiana Fever. Now, it is definitely going to be an exciting game, but looking at both of these teams, starting off with Chicago Sky, we have seen Chicago struggle quite a bit because they come in at the 11th spot in the WNBA. Not only do they come 11th spot in the WNBA, but they also rank 5th in the Eastern Conference, and they have a record of 8 wins and 22 losses. That's a 26.7% win percentage, 5-11 from home, 3-11 from away, and are currently on a 1-game losing streak. So it's definitely been very, very tough for Chicago. Now, looking at their matchup, they face off against Indiana Fever, and Indiana Fever do come in at the 5th spot in the WNBA, but they also rank 3rd in the Eastern Conference. Now, they also have a record of 17 wins and 14 losses. That's a 54.8% win percentage. They're also 9-6 from home, 8-8 from away, and are currently on a 2-game losing streak. So it is pretty interesting to see. Obviously, looking at, you know, both of these teams, they are somewhat differently ranked, as, you know, Indiana Fever are doing a little bit better. Now, looking at this matchup more in depth, we do see Indiana Fever, when it comes to points allowed, we do see Indiana Fever do actually rank 8th when it comes to points allowed. So they actually did start off the season quite higher, and they actually have fallen off quite a bit. However, what we have seen is that Indiana Fever still do a fantastic job at restricting points to the actual big man, or in this case, big woman position. So when it comes to those bigs position, whether it's forward or center, we actually do see Indiana Fever do a fantastic job at restricting points, and that's why we do very, very much like, you know, the under for this situation here. So for that reason, I definitely would keep an eye out for the under for someone like Elizabeth Williams coming into this game, and that's a big reason why we definitely do like the under, as when we look on a per position basis, we see definitely a little bit of a different story. So when we look at that, we also do see, when we look at what the bookies are saying, the bookies also have her favored for the under as well. So that works out in our favor there. So Elizabeth Williams, 11.5 points for less, I think is a great pick. Now, getting into the next player, we're going to be talking about Ariel Atkins. So Ariel Atkins, a great player, as we all know, and this one is a fantastic one for actually 11.5 points, and this one is for less. Now, looking at Ariel Atkins, obviously we have seen her go on the under in 3 out of the last 5 games. Now, looking at those last 5 games, we do see on July 10th faced off against Dallas, and also see her actually score 7 points there. Then 27 points against Minnesota on July 13th, then had 2 points on a back-to-back matchup against Minnesota on July 15th. August 6th, faced off against Washington, had 15 points, and then 8 points against Atlanta on August 8th. So it is a little bit interesting to see there. Now, when we look at this matchup, we do also see, when it comes to Ariel Atkins, we like, you know, this situation as we have seen Ariel Atkins, you know, not really perform too well consistently when it comes to points. Now, our average over the last 5 is 11.8. However, you do have to realize she did have a little bit of an outlier game against Minnesota Lynx on July 13th. 8th, where she actually had 27 points. Without that game, her average wouldn't be, so high. That definitely brought this up way higher. And as we all know, Chicago Sky face off against Indiana Fever. Now, we have already touched on, where they do rank, but just to quickly remind you again, obviously Chicago do rank 11th in the WNBA. Now, they have a record of 8-22 in the regular season, but when it comes to the last 10 games, they actually have a record of 1-9, which is very poor. Now, Indiana Fever on the other side rank 5th in the WNBA. They have a record of 17-14. However, when we look at the last 10 games, we see they actually have a record of 6-4. So it's definitely interesting to see. Obviously both these teams are somewhat differently ranked, and we did mention before that Indiana Fever do come in at the 8th spot in the WNBA. So why do we like, the under for this situation here? Now, we do actually see that Indiana Fever actually do a great job at restricting points to Ariel Atkins' position, but a big reason why we still do like the under is not only that, but we actually have seen Ariel Atkins' usage rate in the points department definitely taken a huge hit. Now, Chicago Sky are definitely playing a different sort of basketball, different sort of usage rates for certain players, and we definitely have seen Ariel Atkins actually points line fall quite a bit, over the last couple of games, not even just the last 5. So it's definitely happened on occasion. We have seen Ariel's actual usage rate drop significantly, and we are expecting that to be a huge factor as well on why we do like the under coming into this matchup, especially against Indiana Fever. Now, Fever, like I mentioned, do a great job at not only just, restricting points to her position as well, but for someone like Ariel Atkins and also the matchup between Chicago and Indiana, we aren't really expecting a crazy amount of pace or anything of that nature. So we shouldn't see any of the pace really have any effect of having her score more or in any sort of facet. So, we think the pace is going to be somewhat normal, maybe even a little bit slower than usual. And as we all know, less pace means less volume, and less volume means less opportunity for Ariel Atkins to score. So, all those things being wrapped up to one, we do very much like the under for this one. So Ariel Atkins, 11.5 points for less, I think is a great pick. So as you all know, I do want to get these picks out to you as soon as possible, but Prizepicks is delayed with some of their lines. So here are a couple of players you should definitely watch out for when their lines drop. So the first player we're going to be talking about is none other than Natasha Howard. So as you all know, Natasha Howard is a great player for Indiana Fever, and we have actually seen her do a fantastic job so far this season. Now, we did actually see that she has actually averaged 11.6 points, 6.7 rebounds, 1.4 assists, and also 1.2 steals. So she's definitely done a fantastic job there. Now, coming into this matchup, we do also see when it comes to Natasha Howard and also Indiana Fever, we do also know that Indiana Fever have themselves a very good matchup against Chicago Sky. Now, looking at where both of these teams do rank, starting off with Indiana Fever, we do know that they come in at the 5th spot in the WNBA. And not only do they rank 5th in the WNBA, but they also rank 3rd when it comes to the Eastern Conference. Now, they have a record of 17 wins and 14 losses. That's a 54.8% win percentage. And on top of that, they have a record of 9-6 at home, 8-8 from away, and are currently on a 2-game losing streak. So it has been a little bit tough for Indiana Fever, but they are hoping to look to see if they can, increase their wins and break this streak. Now, they face off against Chicago Sky, and Chicago Sky do rank 11th in the WNBA. Now, they have a record of 8 wins and 22 losses. That's a 26.7% win percentage. And on top of that, they are 5-11 from home, 3-11 from away, and are currently on a 1-game losing streak. So it is pretty interesting to see. Obviously, there is a little bit of a difference between both of these teams, but looking at where both these teams do rank, obviously both are still in the Eastern Conference, so it is going to be an Eastern Conference battle. But looking at Chicago Sky defensively, we do actually see that they rank 10th when it comes to points allowed, 11th when it comes to assists allowed, and then when it comes to rebounds allowed, we see that they rank 7th. So we actually do see Chicago Sky, do rank very poorly in all 3 categories. And that's a big reason why we do very much like the over for someone like Natasha Howard coming into this matchup. Now, as you all know, when we look at Natasha Howard, not only does she have a decent usage rate in all 3 departments, but we also do see that Chicago Sky do actually struggle against her position as well. So that definitely helps us out in this one. Now, looking at Natasha Howard over her last 5 games, we did see on the 31st against Phoenix Mercury had a 107-101 win with 6 points, 6 rebounds, and 3 assists. Then on the 2nd, faced off against Dallas Wings with an 88-78 win with 11 points, 16 rebounds, and also 5 assists there. Then on the 4th, faced off against Seattle Storm, had a 78-74 win with 21 points, 5 rebounds, and 5 assists. Then on the 6th, faced off against LA Sparks, had 191 loss with 17 points, 7 rebounds, and 2 assists there. Then on the 8th, faced off against Phoenix Mercury, had a 95-60 loss with 7 points, 2 rebounds, and 0 assists there. So it is pretty interesting to see. Obviously, looking at, those last 5 games, we do see at some points Natasha Howard has done fantastic, especially against easier matchups. Other matchups hasn't really done too well. So it is definitely a mix between the two. But coming into this one, especially against a team like Chicago Sky, no disrespect to them, but they are a very, very poorly defensive team. We are expecting someone like Natasha Howard to continue to take advantage of this. Now, Caitlin Clark is still expected to be out for this game, and they do have other, that are to be decided as well. Even if they all do play, we still see someone like Natasha Howard going on the over, so that doesn't really change anything. But I think overall, Natasha Howard will be able to do very well coming into this matchup. So definitely keep an eye out for someone like Natasha coming into this game. Keep an eye out for her line. If the line is under her averages, then definitely look to go on the over. Now, getting into the next player, we're going to be talking about Azura Stevens. So Azura Stevens, great player from Los Angeles Sparks. Now, she's done a fantastic job so far this season, averaging 14.9 points, 8.3 rebounds, 1.9 assists, and also 1.3 steals. So she's done a fantastic job there. And as we all know, when it comes to Azura Stevens and Los Angeles Sparks, they have themselves a very, very good matchup against Golden State Valkyries. Now, looking at this matchup and looking at where both these teams do rank, we do know Los Angeles Sparks do come in at the 9th spot in the WNBA. Now, they actually rank 9th in the WNBA, but also rank actually 6th in the Western Conference. Now, they have a record of 14 wins and 15 losses, 48.3% win percentage. They're also 5-9 from home, 9-6 from away, and are currently on a 3-game win streak as well. So, when we look at, their matchup, they face off, as I mentioned, against Golden State Valkyries, and the Golden State Valkyries are not too far off. They actually rank 8th in the WNBA, and on top of that, they are in the same conference, and they do come in at the 5th spot in the, Western Conference as well. Now, they have a record of 14 wins and 15 losses as well, a 48.3% win percentage. Now, they have a bit of a different home and away record. They are 8-5 at home, 6-10 from away, and are currently on a 2-game losing streak. So, it is pretty interesting to see. Obviously, looking at both of these teams, they somewhat are very, very similar in record. I do believe that, it just comes down to points for and against at that point. But looking at Golden State Valkyries and where they do rank defensively, we do know that they rank 2nd in points allowed, 4th in assists allowed, and 6th in rebounds allowed. So they do actually rank pretty well in all 3 categories. Now, they obviously do rank a little bit better in points and assists. Now, coming into this matchup, however, we do actually see someone like Azura Stevens going on the under here, whether it's points, rebounds, and assists. And a big reason being is that when we look at Golden State Valkyries, we actually see them do a fantastic job at actually, slowing down the pace of the game, but also restricting forwards to points, rebounds, and assists as well. Now, the reason why that is super important is because when we actually look at, the Golden State Valkyries and the pace that they do like to run, they definitely do like to slow down faster paced teams. And although LA Sparks do like to push the ball, we are expecting, Valkyries to really slow the pace down, and less pace means less volume, and less volume means less opportunity to score. So that's why coming into this one, especially for someone like Azura Stevens, who doesn't really have the highest usage rate in the Los Angeles Sparks team, we are expecting her usage rate to take a hit, while other, star players in this Sparks team may actually, hold a little bit more weight coming into this game. Now, looking at Azura over the last 5 games, you see on the 27th, faced off against New York Liberty. Actually had a 101-99 win there with 17 points, 11 rebounds, and 2 assists. Now, they faced off on the 30th against Las Vegas Aces. Actually had an 89-74 loss with 9 points, 8 rebounds, and 0 assists there. After that, against Seattle on the 2nd, had a 108-106 6 victory in double overtime, had 21 points, 5 rebounds, and 5 assists. Then against Indiana Fever, had a 191 win with 19 points, 5 rebounds, and 1 assist there. Then on the 8th against Connecticut Sun, had a 102-91 victory with 10 points, 7 rebounds, and 1 assist there. So it is pretty interesting to see, obviously looking at, how Azura Stevens has actually done over the last 5 games. We have seen them do a fantastic job. But on top of that, we also have seen, times where she's done pretty poorly, especially against tougher defensive matchups. And that's what we are expecting coming into this game. As I mentioned before, Azura Stevens doesn't have the highest usage rate in this matchup. And we are expecting Golden State Valkyries to really slow everyone overall down. But I do believe someone like Azura, who isn't really the star player, going to take more of that hit. So for that reason, keep an eye out for the under for Azura Stevens, whether it's points, rebounds, and assists. We definitely see her being able to go on the under in any of those categories. Now, getting into the next player, we're going to be talking about Rachel Banham. So, Rachel from Chicago Sky, absolutely great guard, has averaged 9.5 points, 1.5 rebounds, 2.5 assists, and also 0.6 steals. So, she's done a great job there. Obviously, we do know Chicago Sky face off against Indiana Fever. Now, obviously, we have already mentioned this, but just to quickly remind you again, Fever do rank 5th. They have a record of 17-14, while Chicago Sky have a record of 8-22, and also rank 11th in the WNBA. So, obviously, there's a bit of a difference there. And looking at Indiana Fever, where they do rank defensively, we do know that they rank 8th when it comes to points allowed. When it comes to assists allowed, we see that they rank 2nd, and then rebounds allowed, we also see that they rank 4th. So, Rachel Banham, although she is a fantastic player, she does face off against Indiana Fever. And when it comes to Indiana Fever, we do actually are expecting them to really play that intense defense that could actually restrict Rachel. But we do like the under for someone like Rachel when in the rebounds and assist department. Now, a big reason for this is that Indiana Fever do rank a little bit better when it comes to restricting rebounds and assists. And on top of that, we also have seen when it comes to Rachel, we do know that she doesn't have the highest usage rate in this team, similar to Azura, and we definitely see that having a huge effect in this matchup. Now, obviously, coming into this game, we do see on the 30th, faced off against Washington, had a 103-86 loss, had 19 points, 3 rebounds, and 3 assists there. Then on the 2nd, faced off against Golden State Valkyries, had a 73-66 loss, with 14 points, 5 rebounds, and 7 assists there. Then on the 4th, faced off against Phoenix Mercury, actually had an 83-67 loss, with 2 points, 1 rebound, and 2 assists. And then on the 6th, faced off against Washington Mystics, had a 78-64 win with 5 points, 1 rebound, and 4 assists. Then against Atlanta on the 8th, had an 18-point, 4 rebound, 2 assist game with an 86-65 loss there. So it was pretty interesting to see. Obviously, Rachel Banham has done a decent job at times, but other times not really doing too well. Now, coming into this game, especially for someone like Rachel Banham, we do actually like the under for this one, due to the fact that, like I've mentioned before, Indiana Fever just do a fantastic job defensively at restricting rebounds, at restricting assists, and we definitely see that being a big problem for Rachel. So definitely keep an eye out for the under for this one. This one, like I've mentioned, focus a little bit more on rebounds and assists, but we definitely do like the under there. Now, getting into the next player, we're going to be talking about Kayla Charles. So Kayla Charles, great player from none other than Golden State Valkyries. And she's done a fantastic job, averaging 6 points, 4.2 rebounds, 1.1 assists, and 0.6 steals. So she's done a great job there. And we do know Golden State Valkyries face off against Los Angeles Sparks. And we have talked about this matchup, but Golden State Valkyries do rank 8th in the WNBA, also rank 5th in the Western Conference. Now, although they have a record of 14 wins and 15 losses, over the last 10 games, they have a record of 4-6. Same with the Sparks. We see Sparks come in at the 9th spot in the WNBA, also have the same record of 14-15, but over the last 10 games have actually had a record of 8-2. So Sparks have actually been doing a pretty good job over the last 10 games for sure. But looking at where Los Angeles Sparks do rank defensively, that's where it is, pretty sightseeing, because we do see that they come in at the 13th spot when it comes to points allowed, 12th spot when it comes to assists allowed, and then also rebounds allowed. We see surprisingly that they rank high as a ranked third. So Sparks obviously do rank a little bit better in rebounds, but coming into this matchup, we do actually like the over for someone like Kayla Charles, whether it's points, rebounds, and assists. Now, a big reason for this is that when we actually look at this matchup more in depth, we do actually see when it comes to Kayla Charles, she does have a decent usage rate in all three departments, but we also do know Los Angeles Sparks struggle when it comes to restricting points, rebounds, and assists to the guard position. So for that reason, we are definitely expecting the over for someone like Kayla. She's definitely taken advantage of poor defensive teams time and time again, and we are expecting her to do the same thing coming into this matchup against LA Sparks. Now, obviously, we do know Kayla Charles was actually, previously with Dallas and then acquired by Golden State Valkyries. So obviously, when we look at the last 5 games, there's a little bit of a difference there, but still, we have seen her usage rate remain actually pretty high. We did see on the 28th face off against Indiana, had a 94-86 loss with 2 points, 4 rebounds, and 3 assists there. Then on the 29th, face-off against Washington, had a 79-71 win with 6 points, 4 rebounds, and 0 assists. After that, against Chicago on the 2nd, had a 73-66 win with 5 points, 5 rebounds, and 2 assists there. Then on the 4th, face-off against Las Vegas Aces, had a 101-77 loss with 13 points, 6 rebounds, and 2 assists. And then against Las Vegas Aces again on the 7th of a back-to-back with a 78-72 loss with 11 points, 4 rebounds, and 0 assists there. So as I mentioned before, obviously there are times where, Golden State Valkyries, Kayla Charles has done well, other games where she hasn't really done too well, but coming into an easier matchup, no disrespect to Sparks, like Sparks, we are expecting them to be able to take advantage of this and go on the over there.